So, I have been thinking on World of Warcraft PvP, and with the multitude of videos saying that World of Warcraft PvP is dead and should not be supported anymore, or Blizzard is actually putting energy into a empty vessel, although that much energy they didn't really put these last months. Um, I feel like I can bring you a few ideas of mine to revitalize it, but I want to start with the good and talking about my own experience with PvP since vanilla, actually. I think PvP in World of Warcraft is one of the most unique gameplays you can have on the current market. There is no real other game that gives you a RPG form of PvP where you have your character, where you keep your character, you keep on building on that character, you have some sort of gear progression, you have some sort of rating progression, you have multitude of abilities where you have to learn, so you have also a progression to make with the own abilities you have to learn from it. Also, since there are 37 or 38 specs, there's also a progression with learning those specs and learning how to fight them. And then you have also add-ons that help you. Now that's another subject. I think add-ons should be gone and Blizzard should actually make their own add-ons, like a better UI for PvP, better debuff slots, I would say, instead of having like 2 rows of debuffs. It should be really only 6 or 7 and be streamlined. For example, bleed should be basically added onto the bleed, so you have like 3 bleeds, and it would like mesh into one. It would be just like one big bleed with times that amount of seconds. So I think they could streamline a lot of the debuffs instead of like having warrior bleed, feral bleed, or whatever. Streamline it into one bleed category, like for example in Guild Wars 2 you have with confusion or bleed damage. They are additive. The only problem we have with World of Warcraft is sometimes those bleeds are important to recognize because it gives some sort of a debuff or a buff towards the spec that did do the bleed. But that's another subject. Why is World of Warcraft PvP so unique and so good? Well, like I said, it's your own character. You progress it. It's a live service game where it is a persistent world where your character will stay in it and will always exist, kinda until the server stops or until something drastic actually starts. You have your rating, you have multitude of ways to play the game, and you can make friends, and people can recognize your name based on your character and based on your even transmog. While League of Legends is a fantastic game, I still play on it. It's basically you that is playing a champion, and it's always going to start up at level 1 until level 18, or even finishing the game way before at level 15, level 12, and then you start another game where you have no gear anymore and no levels. There is an appeal to that. It means that everyone is at the same level, same playing field, I would say. And it can also snowball very fast. So you have a game of 30 minutes, sometimes do 20 minutes because someone surrenders or basically you got them crushed. And same for CSGO. You play your character, basically your FPS character, and you start with 800 gold credits. You spend your credits, and every single round you get credits, and then you can spend and spend and spend or eco whatever. And whenever the game is gone, you have to start again from scratch. Every single game has that, and the only games that are like quite the same as World of Warcraft is like Final Fantasy, well, where the PvP is not that good. You have Warhammer Online, which is now basically a private server, and the pop is not that big. The popularity is also not that big. You have Guild Wars 2, which, to be fair, is a mix between World of Warcraft and League of Legends, where you can basically have a level 2 character and still do PvP at highest level, pretty much. You have ESO, you have multiple games that have PvP, like World of Warcraft, but truly only World of Warcraft has great PvP. Like opinions matters. You can say Guild Wars 2 is a better PvP system, for example. But truly, the most popular PvP game right now for MMORPGs is still World of Warcraft, and it is kind of telling how bad it is for us, because no competitivity and no competition is not that good. So that's a problem. Now, let's talk about the main points. What would I do to improve PvP? And whenever I'm saying improve PvP, I'm saying like the gameplay, I'm saying like the queue times, I'm saying like just general feel of the game, so you are able to grow it and make it better. First and foremost, I would say that you could basically make PvP a free game mode, like they're doing right now with Mist of Pandaria, the remix characters, where basically you only need a subscription to play that. Now you don't even need a subscription to play PvP. That's what I'm saying. So if you want to play PvP, it's on a separate server. You can play with PvP players from all servers, but you are like limited to with your gear progression every single week. So you, for example, every week you get a free piece pretty much, or you can grind pieces like you have with your current character. So season 1, you have, for example, a character that can buy full honor, and then you are progressing with arenas or RPGs or whatever on the free PvP server, and you can get gear every single week with a cap. And right now you have a vault, but in War Within you will not have that. And that's basically it. And then what would be the incentive for Blizzard to make that is by making a battle pass, a freemium battle pass with something that they can buy or grind towards. Again, it's a free server, so obviously it will follow the free-to-play mindset where they kind of need to make their own money from it. So it is sustainable to actually have that separate server. You will also have way better data because, again, those players or characters that are made from that separate server will give you a better idea on who is actually PvPing. So that would be my idea. Make a separate server, make it free, put a battle pass, a free battle pass, and a bought battle pass. If you have a subscription though, for example, I have a subscription, your battle pass becomes free. So it means that everything is unlocked. So it's not like you have to pay extra. So bear with me. If you have a subscription, the battle pass is included 100%. If you don't have a subscription, the battle pass needs to be bought for €5, for example. So it would be the half of a subscription. So it is still incentivized to buy the battle pass, and it's not the same price as subscription. Or basically just subscribe. So if you subscribe, you get the battle pass, for example. It could be something like this. You could do anything with it. That's their economic department that needs to know what they want to monetize and how they want to do that. But making PvP free and available to the masses is the best way forward. If you want to grow the PvP scene, you have to make it free, because most of the games that are currently on the market, that are actually currently competing, not even competing, just beating World of Warcraft, they are free games. League of Legends is free, Dota is free, I think CS2 is free if I'm not mistaken, I don't remember because I bought it like ages ago whenever it was CSGO. Valorant is free. Am I missing something? I don't know, man. Even Hearthstone is free. Any PvP game is free, most likely. And then you have like those FPS games that are bought, like for example Call of Duty and whatever. But if you want to make it grow, you have to make it free. Same for Plunderstorm. I think Plunderstorm being like something you have to subscribe to be able to play is a huge miss. Like that's really dumb. And I like Plunderstorm, but I think it's really not spammable because it's too basic. They need to add way more to make it way more attractive to me, especially cosmetics wise. I feel like it's really bare bones, and it's an event, it's normal, but I think they should work on it. They should make it free, and they should make the PvP servers free. So that would be the first step. Second step, the problem with PvP currently with queue times is that no matter the incentive, You are not going to magically make it a 1-to-3 ratio DPS to healer wise. People just prefer to DPS in general. That is just a fact. It was before in League of Legends the same, where supports were just made to support. Now the supports can actually deal damage, so it becomes a bit more interesting, and they get more gold in League of Legends. So now you can be really strong. You can even be stronger than another role in your own support way, but also with damage ways. And they changed that. Before, in season 3, season 4, season 5, whenever you had to call out your role before you are selecting your champ, and everyone is spamming mid first, or ultra or whatever, they were doing that back in the day, if you remember. Nobody wanted to support. Nobody. And you had like some specific support mains, but it was the same as like a World of Warcraft. It was like a 1-to-8 ratio there. People would prefer to not support because it was like a ungrateful role where basically you are like the B of the lobby pretty much, and that's it. But now they made it more interesting first and foremost, but also you can select your roles before you start the game, and the queue times can vary between sometimes instant to 3 minutes, for example, depending on the elo. And in World of Warcraft we have another problem with Soul Shuffle where it's 6 players lobbies with 2 healers, so it's a 1-to-3 ratio. And you have like currently on the ladder a 1-to-6 DPS to healer ratio. So it means that you're waiting pretty much for 2 lobbies to end before you can actually have a shot at a lobby. Or be lucky to be first in line sometimes. So it means that sometimes you have to wait 20 minutes before you can actually get a game. And sometimes you can wait 30 or 40 minutes because again, it's a 1-to-6 ratio. So if you're like outside of that 1-to-6 ratio, you're going to wait 3 games. So that's why queue times are long. That's why lobbies are not popping for you. And sometimes it pops in 5 minutes. It's because you're like someone left the queues, or you got lucky, or the system is just not that good because sometimes you're first in line while you should not be first in line. So those things are happening. And the only way to change that is to either make healing more of a DPS, like for example League of Legends where supports can basically be a pure DPS role where you're like obliterating people and you're not really supporting, you're just like a second mean layer by this point, and you just ward a bit. So you make it like this, or you decide that healing is and should not be made priority in arenas. The only way to do that without making it a stomp, like for example 2v2 double DPS comp versus double DPS comp, we all know it just ends in 1 minute and that's it, and sometimes in 30 seconds. If you make DPSers a bit more sturdy by their own with healing or whatever, you can then give a bit of DPS power to the healers so they can do more DPS as a healer, be more active, and have the DPSers have more defenses with healing or CC. Not CC, or CDs, excuse me. CC, you should not add CC. We have enough CC. You should actually nerf a bit of CC. For example, Cyclone should be nerfed by 1 second, for example. So you have like the same dirt DR as Polymorph, where it's not worth to cast Cyclone a third time, for example. So they could do that, but they need to really understand that there is no real way currently to add more healers into the game because the pool of players just is not ready for that, except if you're making healing way more interesting. I would be playing Holy Paladin every single day if I can play Shokadin. If I could play Shokadin right now, if I could, like, listen to me, I'm going to even make it bigger for you guys. If I could play Shokadin every time I play my Holy Paladin, so when I'm saying Shokadin, it means that I'm healing, but sometimes I can put my cloak on and basically F you, right? Like you and me, 1v1, I'm going to obliterate you. I can pop a CD and it makes me the biggest DPS ever. You get like bigger wings, whatever, and then you're going to do a judgment. It basically does the same damage as a Retribution Paladin judgment. You're doing a Crusader Strikes, does as much damage as a Templar Verdicts from Retribution Paladins. I would be actually playing Holy Paladin every single day. Every single day. Or if they just buffed melee wings again, I would be playing it. And the issue with what I'm saying right now is that currently DPSers have no way to really heal themselves correctly, except a few specs, and it's really like affected by dampening or affected by other things, or they have like too many defensives, so it's making no sense to give them healing. But I feel like if every DPS has a bit more healing, and I mean really a bit more healing, and every healer has a capacity to turn themselves as DPS and be like, right now I'm going to give you pain instead of healing. That would be actually fun. But they're not going to do that, because the issue is with Mythic Plus that healers being able to DPS too hard makes for not good gameplay, basically. Because then you are at a point where you don't need a tank sometimes, or you don't need a healer sometimes. So that's difficult. But that's why you need separate PvP servers. That's why you need to have a server that has other rule sets. That's the first thing that you can do to make queue times a bit better. Or you make healing not a mandatory role. So it means that even if there is no healer in the lobby, it is a 3v3 DPS versus DPS lobby, you would have an enjoyable time. It would not be a 30-second lobby. It would be a fighting lobby where basically your defensives are needed to make the lobby a longer duration. So those are the things that I could do to have faster queues. Now, does World of Warcraft or Blizzard wants that? That's another issue. But I think with the data I have currently, watching and seeing and just the feeling of it, I think I'm currently right. I think there is no other way to make PvP more appealing, more satisfying, more queuable, more active than doing this. So either make healers more of a DPS and DPSers more of a healing, and it would be again a bit harder to implement because PvE is there, but that's why you have and need separate PvP servers. Or you make healers not mandatory anymore. And don't worry, guys. I have some healers in my subscribers currently, and viewers as well, that are playing healer. I'm not saying get rid of healers. I'm saying make it possible to enjoy our games without healers. So if you're doing 3v3 solo shuffles, that if you don't have a healer, the lobbies are not ending in 30 seconds. But that's why also you need to nerf healing and buff DPS to the healers. I know it's difficult to word it. I don't want healing to be gutted. I want to be redistributed, if I'm saying it correctly, towards all the specs. And the same for DPS. You should also be able to do damage as a healer and be turned as a DPS and be slaying people. Now, the issue with that is people are not liking fist weaving, for example. Sometimes they don't like disc priests. In 2s, for example, in 2s, disc priests are literally doing the same damage as, let's say, another DPS. They don't like that. But the issue with that is because DPSs currently are unarmed to face those things. Or fist weaving feels a bit dumb because they have to basically not choose healing or DPS. They just need to DPS and it will heal automatically. I'm not saying it needs to be an automatic thing. Some specs can have that, for example, disc priest. But you need to be able to say, look, now I am the danger in this lobby. I'm going to change myself. It's going to be a 15-second CD. I'm going to go ham, and then I have a 1-minute CD or 2-minute CD of a cooldown where people are going to say, oh, okay, he's not going to do damage now. I'm going to be a bit tranquilo. But you got to understand, there is no other way to make it more interesting and appealing for DPSers. And if you say that right now you're okay with how it is currently, it is not going to change. There is a quote that I often use for my own life, but also for my friends and for whatever people around me. If you do the same every single day, don't expect any other result than what you had yesterday. Basically, you gotta change something if you want a different result. Right now, the result is queue times are long, LFG is a mess, so they also need to rework LFG. I would say they could do that for PvE as well, but for PvP it's a mess. I think the reward system is a mess. They need to change that as well. There's multiple things that they could do But I think my solutions are for the long term, unfortunately, because they need to rework a lot of specs to be able to do a bit more damage or a bit more healing. And being able to do a 3v3 DPS versus DPS lobby is going to be quite difficult right now. So it's going to be for long term. But short term, they could do reward tracks, a PvP server with a battle pass without a subscription, and if you whenever you are going to subscribe, you're getting the battle pass for free, for example. You have things like that you could do, and then a transfer. For example, you level on PvE servers, and boom, you can transfer it to PvP servers if you want to, like a copy, like a PTR server, right? You can copy it, and you have your character, and you can do whatever you want. I don't know, man. There are a multitude of things you can do, and it only depends on Blizzard and their own want, if they want to change something. If they are feeling like, I'm not going to change anything because really there is no money to make, that's alright. That's respectable. They can do whatever they want with their game. But again, I am a consumer, I'm a PvPer, I want the game to thrive, because first and foremost I'm a player, but also I'm a content creator. I mean, it's easier for me to make content whenever I'm really liking the game, excited about the game, but also seeing a lot of people excited about the game as well. It's way easier to make content. Whenever something is doom and gloom and nothing is going well, it doesn't give me like that energy to make it like interesting like videos. But also just like logging on, like for myself, seeing that many negative things, and just also just in game. It's not like only Reddit or forums, but just in game, that negativity is really hard to take. If you want to play and you see that, it feels like you're putting energy into an empty vessel, like I said. So hopefully you understand this video as a positive video. It's not me saying doom and gloom. It's literally me saying or telling you guys the solutions to PvP. And the biggest solution that they could do right now is actually communicating, talking with the players, have one-on-ones, interviews, fireside chats. I don't know what they could do to actually communicate with us, but there's YouTube, Twitter, Facebook, WoW forums, TikTok, Instagram. They have multitude of ways to communicate with players. They are like such a big company. It feels like they're run as a 5-man. It's really weird. I feel like Season of Discovery with such a small team just does it better, like communication wise. I'm not going to say that Season of Discovery is perfect, because it's not. I'm currently not playing too much of it because, again, I prefer retail right now, gameplay wise. But if I want to play and like I have 1 hour of my time, to be honest, it is better spent on Season of Discovery than retail, because with that 1 hour, I either have to look for LFG groups or have my friends online at that specific time frame, or I have to be lucky on a soul shuffle match. Or I need to play healer, but I don't want to because I feel like I'm bored, first and foremost, but also I feel like the MMR system is not rewarding to me. So again, soul shuffle and such, it's a separate video. I don't want to talk about MMR because I feel like the problems of this game is not only about MMR. I feel like it's way more deeper than that. Even if you fix MMRs, it will not fix queue times, basically. That will not happen. So take it out of your mind. It is not going to happen. It is just like you have 2 little players playing healers, and it doesn't matter if you're fixing it or not. You either have to reward it, the F out of it, to the point where people want to play healer just for the rewards, or you have to change the system towards a more of a DPS-centric game mode, where you don't really need a healer, but if there is a healer, then it's good. That's another game facet you can have. Or make healing more of a DPS. So you could actually play healer and do the same as a DPS, basically. So there is multitude of solutions. You have multitude of ways to go by it. But at the end, it only depends on Blizzard and devs. And it feels like communication is something they could do like on a really surface level. Like on a... There is no barrier to entry. You don't even need to recruit someone to do communication. You could do that. I think it's way better to do that if you find someone that is a really good community manager that is actually talking every single day about the problems of World of Warcraft. That would be actually helping. but I think a dev could also, like a senior producer or whatever, could actually talk on Twitter or YouTube or whatever to talk about PvP. Let us know that there is a PvP dev. I don't know. Maybe there is no PvP dev and I'm talking about like nothing and nothing can be changed. But if there is a PvP dev, the players can give you ideas. You have to implement the ideas you feel worth to make. But players have ideas, so listen to the players and do whatever you want with it. But listen to the players. Again, thank you for watching. Have a great day. Bye.